1720, Jamaica. Two women, Bonny and Mary Reed, stand in the courtroom. They are accused of piracy, a crime for which there is no forgiveness. The verdict is already known: the gallows. But they have one weapon: their womanhood. What happened to female pirates when they fell into the hands of the law? History gives a terrifying answer.
The trial of pirates was not a theater, but a show of execution on paper. The British colonies, Jamaica, Barbados, Virginia, Admiralty courts operated. They were created to quickly and ruthlessly suppress any maritime disobedience. There were no juries. The judge acted as both prosecutor and executor of the Crown's will. Evidence, the testimony of a merchant ship captain or a couple of naval officers, was enough.
Judges could not understand how did the weaker sex end up among robbers. And their only answer was to punish harsher so it would never happen again. Chronicles preserve an episode. During a trial in the West Indies, a judge said to a female pirate, "You have not only broken the law, you have broken your purpose. Women are meant to bear children, not wield a sword." The only chance for the condemned was pleading the belly, claiming pregnancy. If the judge accepted it, the woman was sent to prison until childbirth. But a delay did not mean forgiveness. After the child was born, her sentence still awaited.
Execution Dock in London was the symbol of the end of any pirate story. When the condemned were led there, it became a procession. Prisoners were brought from Newgate Prison, chains rattling on the cobblestones. Crowds gathered along the streets. Men shouted curses, women cried, children threw dirt. Female pirates drew particular attention. Newspapers reported on them with perverse interest: female monster, woman warrior. Their presence on the scaffold seemed to society a terrifying deviation that had to be publicly eradicated. They were led to the gallows slowly. The execution took place over water. The condemned were hanged on a specially constructed beam at the Thames edge. The rope was short. This meant not instant death, but prolonged agony. A person died of strangulation over several minutes, convulsing violently. Spectators watched as a lesson.
The body was left hanging for 3 tides, about a day. The sea rose and fell, washing over the feet of the dead. This was how the empire demonstrated. It made no difference if you were male or female. Piracy was punished equally.
But women were not always executed immediately. Sometimes they were used as a lesson for the crowd. Flogging, punishment with a cat-o'-nine-tails. The woman was tied to a post on the dock. Crowds gathered in advance. It was an event families came to witness. An officer raised his hand, and the whip, with multiple knotted strands, struck the victim's back. The first strikes left red stripes, slow and drawn. By the 10th, the skin tore, blood running down the body. When the woman fainted, she was revived with a bucket of salt water, only to continue the punishment. Such spectacles were meant to scare future offenders.
But in reality, they caused horror and hatred.
Some women could no longer walk afterward. Their bodies were scarred for life. They became living monuments to the empire's cruelty.
In Spanish and Portuguese colonies, the fate of female pirates was different, but no less terrifying. Here, they were almost never formally tried. A female pirate was considered a trophy. If she was black or mixed race, she was automatically sold on the slave market. Prices for such women depended on age and appearance. Some were sent to plantations, others to officers' homes. No protocols, no archival records. They disappeared from history as suddenly as they appeared. White women might be kept as concubines or servants in wealthy households. Some ended up in harems in North Africa after pirate raids. Their lives were broken forever. Their names were never spoken again in Europe.
The quietest and most painful death awaited those sent to prison hulks. Horrifying. These ships, former military vessels turned floating prisons, were anchored at river mouths. The holds had no windows, claustrophobic. The air was filled with the stench of human bodies, decay and disease. Disgusting. Prisoners slept in chains on wooden bunks. Painful. Water leaked through the decks. Rats ran among people. Daylight barely penetrated inside. Diseases spread instantly. Women were especially vulnerable. They could be used by guards or other prisoners. They died in silence, without witnesses. Their deaths were rarely recorded. They vanished without a trace, as if they had never existed.
The story of female pirates is a story of oblivion. We know the names of a few: Anne Bonny, Mary Read. But hundreds more sank into darkness, hanged, beaten, sold, forgotten on prison ships. They fought for freedom and paid the highest price. And the question that remains today: who decides whose story will be told? And how many women's voices are still drowned in silence?